Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to completely transform how you approach the UCAT Verbal Reasoning section. Seriously, if you've just been relying on instinctual guessing, kind of crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, yeah, those days end right now. We're building a foolproof clinical framework that's going to totally change how you tackle these questions. We are going to cure your UCAT verbal reasoning woes once and for all.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our 5-part treatment plan for today. We'll cover the verbal reasoning diagnosis, the rules of the UCAT universe, the 3 deadly traps, the 4-tier triage system, and finally, time-saving keyboard shortcuts. Let's get to it.
So, starting things off with part 1, the verbal reasoning diagnosis.
Now, you might be wondering, why do smart students actually fail the UCAT? We need to acknowledge a pretty stark reality right off the bat here. The verbal reasoning section notoriously has the absolute lowest average score of all the cognitive subtests. And why is that? Well, it's honestly because you're failing precisely because you are smart. Your natural intelligence, your fluid real-world reading habits, your ability to read between the lines and make these brilliant little inferences, well, all of that makes you a great reader in the real world. But on the UCAT, it's literally a cognitive disease. You have to stop overthinking it. These exact traits are exactly what lead you straight into the test maker's traps.
And to put that into perspective, here is the stark mathematical reality of why this happens. 30. You have roughly 30 seconds per question. Think about that. You're facing 44 questions packed into just 22 minutes, spread across 11 passages. This means you absolutely cannot afford to sit there and read 300-word passages for general comprehension like you're reading a novel on a Sunday afternoon. If you try to slowly absorb every single detail, you've literally already lost the timing game.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're up against. Looking at the overall exam architecture, verbal reasoning sits right at the top. It sets the tone for the whole thing. Now, as a quick impartial note here, while some older guidebooks or tip sheets might show 5 sections, current guidelines confirm that abstract reasoning was removed in 2025. So this 4-part battlefield, with its strict time limits and question counts, is your current reality.
Moving right along to part 2, rules of the UCAT universe. To fix our reading mistakes, we need to completely redefine the baseline rules of true, false, and can't tell. I really want you to adopt this quote as your golden rule. For the 22 minutes of this section, treat every single passage as if you are an alien who just landed on Earth, and you know absolutely nothing except the words printed right in front of you. You literally have to drop all of your outside biology or real-world knowledge. The test makers intentionally pick scientific topics to bait you into using your background knowledge to make an assumption. Do not take the bait. The passage is the only universe that exists.
So, the crucial point here is how we actually define can't tell within that isolated universe. Listen to this carefully. If a key piece of information is missing, or if they suddenly introduce a brand new demographic, or if the passage is just simply silent on a detail, the answer is can't tell. It honestly doesn't matter if the statement is 100% true and totally plausible in reality, or if you read it on Wikipedia yesterday. If the text doesn't explicitly state it, your answer absolutely must be can't tell.
All right, let's shift into part 3, the 3 deadly traps. This is where we identify the specific pathogens the test makers are going to use against you. Trap number 1 is dispersion. And wow, this one is incredibly sneaky. What they do is they'll take correct information directly from the passage, but then deceptively apply it to the totally wrong subject or time frame. Basically, they're weaponizing correct facts to confuse you when you're scanning way too quickly. They're just hoping you'll see a familiar phrase and immediately click true without anchoring that fact to its proper context. Trap number 2 is contradiction. You really have to watch out for sentences in the options that look almost completely identical to the text, but a single qualifier has been subtly distorted. Remember, for an answer to actually be false, the passage has to say the exact opposite or meaningfully contradict the claim. They absolutely love to twist just one single word to change the entire meaning of a sentence.
Now, what's really interesting here is trap number 3, extreme language. Notice the comparison between moderate and extreme quantifiers. Absolute quantifiers are your absolute biggest red flags. Academic passages almost never make 100% absolute claims. So, if the text uses a moderate phrase like "a treatment is often successful," and then the test option twists it into the extreme phrase "always successful," well, that instantly makes the statement false. Scanning for extreme words like always, never, all, or none takes literally 2 seconds, but man, it will save you a massive amount of time.
Which brings us to part 4.
the 4-tier triage system.
Okay, we know the traps, so now let's prescribe the cure. Within the very first 5 seconds of reading a question, you need to mentally triage it. It's like a clinical emergency room. Tier 1, you know exactly what to do and it's solvable in under 20 seconds. Great. Tier 2, it's solvable but will take up to 50 seconds, so flag it. Tier 3 is high on certainty, and Tier 4 is complete unfamiliarity. Now for Tiers 3 and 4, you must skip them. Seriously, just skip them. There is no negative marking on the UCAT. Leaving a question blank is the only true way to fail. Strategically skipping a Tier 4 question, taking a guess, and just moving on is so much better than burning 2 whole minutes on a single trap.
And finally, Part 5, Time-Saving Keyboard Shortcuts.
Let's see how this builds on our triage concept. Take a close look at this advice from MetaTeach. They heavily emphasize an absolutely crucial strategy. If you are stuck, take a guess, flag the question, and move on. Getting completely bogged down by incomprehensible trick questions is exactly what the test makers want you to do. You have to keep the momentum going.
And to actually execute that fast-paced strategy, you absolutely must use these 5 essential keyboard shortcuts highlighted by Metafy. Alt+N jumps to the next question. Alt+P returns to the previous question. Alt+F flags the current question for later review. Alt+C opens the online calculator, which, by the way, is vital for the quantitative reasoning section. And finally, use the letter keys to select answers A through E. It's just so much faster than dragging your mouse across the screen. Oh, and a quick tip for Mac users out there. Depending on your browser, you might need to use Option instead of Alt, or sometimes Control plus Option. Seriously, memorize these or take a screenshot right now, because using the keyboard over the mouse is a proven, massive time saver.
So, what does this all mean? We've completely deconstructed this section today, and I want to leave you with this final provocative choice. Are you going to continue falling for the curse of knowledge and trusting your everyday reading instincts? Or are you going to adopt this clinical framework and anchor yourself strictly to the text? That choice right there is literally what separates average scores from top decile results. Stop reading like you're casually enjoying a novel. Start scanning for success and take back control of your time. You've got this.